You're a climber and you just had a baby. Congratulations. Now what? What do you do in those first few days, those first couple of weeks to get yourself ready to return back to your sport? While I know that returning to the wall may or may not be at the top of your mind, at some point you're going to say, okay, I want to go climbing again. What do I need to do to prepare my body to be able to do that? I'm going to give you the exact steps that are important for you to be able to go through to prepare yourself to get back on the wall. We want to think about preparing ourselves proximally to move distally. So that's just a fancy way of saying, let's get our foundation really, really strong and then be able to get on the wall. I've got a checklist for you to be able to go through to say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. To make sure that you are ready from the inside out to be able to return to climbing postpartum. Let's go through each of the pieces of the checklist, and then you are going to have exercises to help you execute and work on each one of those pieces. All right, piece number one is being able to bring our lower ribs down. So you can think of those lower ribs as from your bra line down. And a lot of times during pregnancy, because of literally having a baby in our abdomen, those lower ribs get kind of flared out. So we want to make sure that we're able to bring those lower ribs down. That is piece number one that we want to execute before getting on the wall. Piece number two that we want to execute is being able to get a 360-degree diaphragmatic breath. A diaphragmatic breath is not a belly breath. Those are two completely different things. We want to focus on getting full excursion or movement of the diaphragm. And many times we need to get those lower ribs down first to be able to take a really nice diaphragmatic breath. The next piece we are going to focus on are hamstrings, and more specifically your proximal hamstrings. These are important for the orientation of your pelvis, and many times during pregnancy these get a little more lengthened, if you will. So we want to make sure that we can find them again, which leads us to the next point of your glutes. We need to be able to find hamstrings without clenching our glutes, which means that we need to be able to have eccentric length in the glutes. A lot of times after pregnancy, we've got a lot of tightness around the sacrum, coccyx area, so we want to make sure that we can release some of that and get really nice eccentric length of the glutes to start training our hips again. After we've done that, we're going to make sure that we can get the rib cage to move side to side or reciprocally. So a lot of times we can think of this as things involving thoracic mobility, and it is very important to make sure we've got some amount of that in your recovery process postpartum. Finally, we will look at reciprocal motion of the pelvis. This is just a fancy way of saying that we need to make sure that the pelvis isn't only moving as one unit. We want to make sure that we can get each side of the pelvis kind of moving independently, make sure the back of one glute can let go so that the other one can contract, and vice versa. And we'll look at a couple of really simple ways to make sure that your pelvis can do that. Doing all of these things, while it may sound like a lot, you can really easily just throw them into a routine and start doing this right away. The reason we are doing all of this is because, again, it sets us up proximally for success distally. That means that when we get the diaphragm moving, when we get the rib cage really fully expanding on all sides, that's also going to give feedback to our pelvic floor. And our pelvic floor really needs the TLC right now. It also starts enabling us to regain the tension in our deep core musculature, as well as the internal, external obliques and the rectus abdominis. All right, let's go through each one of the exercises so you've got a really good plan of what to do right after baby comes to get you back on the wall.